The society we know has changed in the distant future. Rich people now live in massive villas with all the luxuries of life, while the poor are confined to extremely high-tech but small facilities. They must ride exercise bikes for the entire day in order to earn RIT, a digital currency. They can use these benefits to purchase necessities such as food, entertainment, and so on. People live in small rooms with screens. One can watch movies or even play video games. But everything has a cost. Adult advertisements are also shown on the screens, which can only be avoided at the expense of some benefits. Everyone can create their own avatars. Generally, someone with a good avatar is considered rich while the others are poor. Despite these features, life inside the facility is dull because they are confined by highly computerized walls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can, however, participate in a talent show called Hot Shot with the help of a golden ticket. If a person is chosen, they will be able to live a luxurious lifestyle. They also no longer have to cycle. Unfortunately, the cost of a golden ticket is in the millions. The show's protagonist is a cyclist named Bing Madsen, who has over 15 million merits in his account. He dislikes purchasing materialistic items and prefers to live a simple life. He does, however, ignore the adult advertisements that appear on his screen at random. Bing also enjoys playing video games at night, particularly those that allow him to shoot at targets. He prefers to listen to music or gaze out the window while cycling. The guys next to him, on the other hand, frequently watch comedy shows, live music, and even adult content. There's also a girl named Sophia who enjoys practicing her violin while cycling. She appears to have a crush on Bing, but she can't bring herself to propose to him. But then the perfect opportunity presents itself. Bing attempts to obtain an apple from the vending machine, but it becomes stuck. So Sophia leaps into action and demonstrates how they can extract stuck objects from the machine. She then attempts to strike up a conversation, but Bing simply says thank you and walks away. While Bing is playing video games late at night, an advertisement for the Hot Shot talent show appears. He tries to close his eyes, but the alarms inside his room start blaring. This demonstrates that one cannot ignore advertisements. They must use some merits to make them disappear. While on his way to work in the morning, Bing notices a newcomer named Abai Khan. Bing, who is normally an introvert, is smitten by her beauty. As a result, from now on, he tries to find a way to talk to her. His lucky day arrives in the most unlikely of places, the bathroom. Bing finishes his business and prepares to leave when he overhears Abai singing beautifully. Bing tries to compliment her but is unable to do so due to his awkward social skills. To make matters worse, an adult advertisement appears out of nowhere and ruins his moment. Later that day at work, Abai sits in the opposite row and folds an origami out of a food wrapper. She then places it on her bike, but a cleaner quickly removes it, revealing that loitering is now permitted in the facility. Bing has been staring at her the entire time. He can't stop thinking about Abai, even at night. In addition, he sings the song she was humming in the bathroom. Just then, he sees an advertisement for the talent show Hot Shot, and an idea strikes him. The next morning at work, Bing approaches Abai, who is also having vending machine issues. He teaches her how to retrieve stuck food items from the machine and strikes up a conversation with her. Despite his nervousness, Bing says the exact lines Sophia used on him a few days ago. This impresses Abai, and she begins to open up as well. She reveals that she has recently turned 21, the legal working age. Abai wanted to visit her sister at the facility, but it was already full. Then, when the time is right, Bing brings up the incident in which he overheard her singing in the bathroom. He compliments her beautiful voice, but Abai downplays it, saying it isn't exceptional. Bing, on the other hand, believes she possesses a unique talent. As a result, he suggests that she audition for Hot Shot. He even offers to pay the 12 million merits entry fee on her behalf. Bing explains that he inherited the merits after his brother died last year. He dislikes buying expensive clothes, eating expensive food, or changing his avatar. In short, he dislikes materialistic things. So he wants something real to happen, such as Abai becoming famous for her talent. She declines the offer as expected, but agrees when Bing promises to be by her side at all times. Bing discovers late at night, after returning to his room, that the price of the golden ticket has risen. It now costs a whopping 15 million merits, which is nearly all that Bing has. Nonetheless, he purchases the ticket because impressing Abai has become his mission. Soon after, he sends it to her, which makes her happy. In return, Abai sends him a virtual kiss, launching the two into a special relationship. They skip work the next morning and head to the location where the Hot Shot auditions are being held. Abai thanks Bing by giving him a penguin origami inside the elevator. She explains that because it is flat, he can conceal it wherever he wants. After a while, Bing notices Abai's nervousness and takes her hand and is to calm her down. Abai is allowed to enter the audition set because she has the ticket, but Bing must be verified first. He is given a painful temporary tattoo on his hand, which registers him as Abai's friend. Soon, the two arrive in a room full of other auditioners. They are honing their various talents. Some are singing, some are dancing, and some are just babbling. It has been revealed that many of these auditioners have been waiting for almost a week. But, to everyone's surprise, Abai is called up almost immediately. This is due to her stunning appearance. Some auditioners are outraged and demand justice, but the bouncer simply states that he is following orders. Meanwhile, Abai is asked to face the camera and record a short promotional line, "I want to be famous." Then she's rushed backstage, where a staff member hands her a Couplion's drink. Abai protests, but she is informed that it is required for all auditioners to calm their nerves and keep them from puking. As a result, Abai reluctantly takes a few sips, and as soon as she does, she begins to feel dizzy. Despite this, Abai goes on stage to perform her act, while Bing looks on from backstage. There are 3 judges: Hope, the scary but understanding one; Charity, the fashion diva; and Wraith, the guy in charge of all adult content in the country. Abai is initially unable to introduce herself properly due to her extreme nervousness, so Hope encourages her to perform. Wraith, on the other hand, simply wants her to show her skin. He is taken aback by her beauty and doesn't care whether she can sing or not. Regardless, Abai ignores him and begins singing. She sings a perfect rendition of "Anyone Who Knows What Love Is Will Understand" as the entire country watches in awe. This astounds both the judges and the digital avatars who are watching the live performance. Unfortunately, Hope cuts Abai off and tells her that while this is their best singing performance this year, it is only good, not great. The quota for singers is already full, and only an exceptional performance will be considered now. However, Abai does have something special that the entire country wants to see: her body. Hope adds that if Abai agrees to join Wraith's adult company, she will become a superstar. This would be the only way she could live a lavish life, one in which she would no longer have to cycle. As soon as he says this, the other 2 judges begin pressuring Abai to say yes. Even the audience joins in, chanting, "Do it." Bing, who is watching everything from backstage, becomes enraged and tries to save her, but security quickly apprehends him and takes him away. Finally, Abai, who is still under the influence of Couplion's, is overcome by the chants and says yes. She does so with tears in her eyes, indicating that she does not fully consent to it. Bing is back in his room a few days later, fidgeting with the penguin origami that Abai had given him. He is still upset about how things turned out and blames himself for everything that happened. Bing is not only depressed, but also bankrupt. He barely has enough money to eat healthy food, so he is forced to eat whatever he can get his hands on. One night, while Bing is playing video games in his room, an adult advertisement appears. It's Abai's first film. Much to his chagrin, Bing immediately covers his eyes and tries to avoid watching it because he has no merits left to skip it. But the blaring alarms are so loud that he can't stand it for more than a few seconds. He reluctantly opens his eyes and attempts to leave, but the door simply will not open. It turns out that if an advertisement plays, the only way to avoid it is to pay a few thousand merits. Bing has no choice but to observe, and all he sees is a broken-hearted Abai. He has had enough and goes insane, slamming the screens until one of them breaks, as Bing screams in agony. He notices a glass shard on the floor and an idea occurs to him. He devotes all of his energy to collecting merits starting the next day. Bing is the first one to arrive at work. He brushes his teeth with a tiny amount of toothpaste, and he no longer buys food. To satisfy his hunger, Bing eats his colleagues' leftovers as well as the fruit stuck in the vending machine. He no longer plays video games at night. Instead, he practices dancing, which he hasn't done in his entire life. And he manages to amass 15 million merits in a matter of months. Bing has finally saved enough money to purchase his own golden ticket, which is the first step in his plan. He hides the shard of glass in the empty Couplion's packet inside his clothes the next day and goes to audition for Hot Shot. Bing is the first to arrive, but the room quickly fills up with hundreds of people. Fortunately, he doesn't have to wait long because the bouncer is instructed to find someone ethnic. Next, Bing is asked to cut a promotional line, but he simply says, "I'm an entertainer." When he gets backstage, a staff member hands him a Couplion's drink, which he declines because he has already had it. Bing displays the empty packet he sneaked in as proof. After that, he is finally allowed on stage. The judges don't say much after seeing his appearance and simply tell him to get on with it. Bing agrees and begins his performance. It's a high-energy dance, the result of months of practice as well as the anger that's been building inside him. The judges appear to be mesmerized by his moves, but Bing abruptly stops and removes the glass shard. He then points it at himself and threatens to do the unthinkable if anyone comes too close. Wraith, who appears unconcerned, challenges him to do it, but Hope and Charity object. They tell the guards to stand down and ask Bing what he wants. The latter says, "Just listen," and then goes on a rant about the system that controls them. At first, he chastises the judges for treating everyone as fodder. They take anyone who is beautiful and dump everyone else, regardless of talent. Bing also disparages the audience, referring to them as sheep. He mentions that no one in the country is brave enough to stand up to the system. They have been controlled and tortured their entire lives, but they have no problem with it. By the end of Bing's speech, the entire audience has gone numb. They are stunned by what they have just heard. They scream again when Hope mentions that this is the most heartfelt speech he has ever heard. He then manipulates Bing by claiming that his message is good, but that in order to reach a larger audience, he must continue speaking. As a result, Hope offers Bing the opportunity to speak on his channels twice a week in exchange for a ridiculous sum of money. Hearing this, Charity says she'd definitely watch his show, while Wraith labels the glass shard gimmick a neat one. And, just like the previous time, the audience begins chanting "Do it." The pressure becomes too much for Bing, and he eventually sells out. He agrees to change the very thing he desired to change. A few days later, Bing begins his new show, in which he rails against the system with rage in his eyes. He has kept his glass shard gimmick, and the show has quickly become a hit. The show concludes with a glimpse of Bing's new life. He no longer needs to cycle because he now has everything he could want. Bing can drink orange juice every day, has a penguin figurine, and, most importantly, can see the outside world, which is lush with vegetation.